Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 403 of the Maritime Paintball Podcast, live on CHSR 97.9 FM, as well as Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and we played around with Instagram, but that just kind of looked weird, so we decided not to anymore. You can't hear me at all, because there we go.
There we
The
go.
folks out in the radio land can hear me just fine, but the people in the stream couldn't hear me at all, so luckily that was a flick. I noticed I'm looking at you. You're looking at me kind of strange. I'm like, oh no, what did I do? Such is life. So my name is Brad Odell. Normally I'm joined by a very colorful character by the name of Tom, the King of Paintball, but he's napping right now because he's going to be taking first shift driving, and I'm actually very glad that he's napping right now because I'm gonna be napping in the truck on the way to Commando Action Center's D-Day for this weekend. It's gonna be fantastic. Just so excited. I'm joined by apparently the Raging Donkey, also known as Ben Larson, from
That's right. That's right.
from how do you pronounce it?
Don't fail the test. Renatus
Group, who are now like the caretakers of First Strike.
Renatus, the parent company that made the acquisition of the First Strike and the start success, and we also do some wholesaling now too of some other products. So yeah, that's just the legal name.
Right. But for the people out there listening, everyone just knows First Strike. That's really what what the majority of listeners and the viewers out there are going to know.
That's our bread and butter for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's get into a little bit of detail about yourself. Let's talk your background. There's folks out there in Radio Land who probably have no idea who you are in our bustling metropolis of Fredericton.
All right. So my name is Ben Larson. I'm the principal owner of Renatus Group. In a company now on the military simulation aspect of outdoor recreation, right? So not just paintball, but airsoft, and we have some Nerf projects. We've got all sorts of goofy stuff that if you want to shoot each other with and not go to jail, that's our bread and butter. So
that's a tagline.
There amongst all those things.
Love that. I love that.
Now, so for myself, I've been in the industry, the paintball industry, this will mark my 22nd year, which would make me an old man.
It does.
Not unsurprisingly.
It does.
I hurt my back the other day getting off the couch. But yeah, so I started right out of college. I graduated from Michigan State. I played on the Michigan State club paintball team way back in the day. Graduated on a Saturday, moved to Chicago on a Sunday, and started working at a company then called PMI, Pursuit Marketing Incorporated, which had the brands like Piranha and RP Shear paintballs, Pure Energy, all that good stuff. And along the way, I worked at a couple different places, different iterations after equity groups came in and started merging everything from, West Coast sales to retail sales. So you guys up there sold paintball stuff to Canadian Tire and Walmart and Home Hardware, among all the U.S. companies as well. My last stop here was at UTS, which is the parent company for First Strike and Pepperball. Their main focus being on less than lethal sales product for law enforcement, military, riot control stuff. About 2 years ago, maybe a little years ago, they decided they wanted to exit the consumer space, which is the space that I ran. Tried to figure out who would buy, and that person and me. So, which is perfect because I've had a passion for this whole thing. I was the one who kind of came in and did everything under First Strike from the old types and air and all that, find it all under one brand to make it a little bit more easier to market. And the rest, as you say, is history. So that's the nickel tour of my paintball career.
I love it. I mean,
Yep,
you
yep,
play it down a little bit, but you really were there for the majority of it. For the like for not I shouldn't say the majority of it, but like the you were there for the rise of Magfed paintball. You
well,
were bread and butter.
so um, for sure for Matt, I was there for the kind of the grassroots piece. The '90s was a wild ride in paintball growth. I kind of came in at the plateau, so there was had to go through that, and that was the private equity investment as the industry shrunk a little bit. We had a financial crisis back in the day that put a shut down on half of the fields and stores world in fell swoop. So, I got to go through some growing pains. The part of that benefited me was you learn to operate with by any means necessary,
Mm-hmm.
which has helped right in terms of the transition here, where it's myself, one sales guy, and my wife, my dog here every day, doing everything we can from editorial services, picking and packing product development, and everything in between.
Man, so you're just wearing a dozen hats, or at least four.
It's more than it does. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't bring hats anymore because I don't know what I'm going to wear that day.
That's fair. That's a great way to go into it, though, man. Walk into the office one day and you're just like, all right, what fire am I putting out now? Like,
Yeah, it's
that's
like said it. Everyone has a plan. Punch Mike. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And as a small business owner, that's you just get punched in the face all day long.
that sounds like small business ownership, medium business ownership, and enterprise
Yeah,
level business.
yeah, that's what it is.
That's rough, man.
Yeah,
It's rough,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
man. Oh
But
man.
I mean, it's certainly stressful, but it's a different stress than what I had before, where it was the stress was I couldn't really control what we did at the end of the day. I had a lot of handcuffs restricting me from expanding or getting into other products or really product development for that matter. And you saw a stagnation with the brand, during COVID because there was no one there.
Yeah,
And now we're kind of picking pieces, and it's not going to be fast, right? It's something I could do yesterday, but we're giving some facelifts of some new products, and we have some bigger products in the works that will take a little bit, a couple years to get developed. But in a post the other day, I said we service this niche of a niche, and that's us. That's where we're going to be, and that's where we're going to play. And the size that the big guys, it's too small of a market to tackle, and the little guys, it's hard to get in. So it makes it a sweet for us, and
it's
I feel like I know the customer that most other major manufacturers do in terms of what they don't want. Just the problem is, as such as life is investment, and me, I have a little bit of ADHD, so I go all over the place on products and terms I want to go after. So I got to really wrangle myself in, focus on stuff and get stuff to the finish line. But so it's fun. Like I said, it's a different stress, but I much have here controlling my own destiny versus the before of being frustrated with the stunted ability.
it's your stress. You get to own it. And it's not
Yeah,
it's not stress coming from somebody screaming at you because a spreadsheet was done wrong or
yeah.
something.
And,
So
that's an accurate statement.
yeah. Let's talk about some of those products because I'm sure people are already thinking like, okay, First Strike, and the first thing that comes to mind right now is the FSR Plus or the First Strike Round Plus. So for anybody who's
Yep.
new to the world, maybe kind of explain what a First Strike Round is, and then we'll go into the difference between the First Strike
Yeah.
Round and the First Strike Round Plus.
Yeah. So our company, and really, it's still manufactured by UTS. They own all the equipment, the patents on and the projectile. But we exclusive provider of those rounds, and it's a shaped projectile versus regular paintballs that are 68 caliber spears. This one is like D-shaped projectile with a fin on the back um, that allows it to travel through the air a little bit more efficiently and far more accurately. So that's our base product. It's been in the market here for a grip of years at this point. Um, you know, 6 years ago, it went from always being a silver round to Skittles. We have all sorts of different colors now, and the
Speaking
next
of all sorts of
we had
colors, Paul Ruddock just
yeah,
popped into the chat. That man has made it his goal in life to collect every single one. Uh,
yeah. Every time he thinks he has them, I make a new one. So
just to keep him going.
just to hold it over his head. Oh, look at this thing. Oh yeah, it's real nice.
I love it. I know when I think of the colored first strike rounds, the
So
first thing that comes to my mind is the Hulk. I always think the green with the purple.
yeah,
And I love those ones, man. I love the bright colors.
was popular. The Chicago Bears one was a pretty popular color. We had to get away from the colored fronts because so just like making a cookie, every little ingredient counts.
Mm-hmm.
When you started adding all the different color variations to the front and then to the back, it really started to have a quality issue when those front and backs were welded together. Where if we can keep one of those consistent, like the smoke fronts, so it's still a dark colored front, we can weld those a lot more accurately from batch to batch, right? So that ended up being a quality control thing, and the important part for everyone was the fluorescent backs, so that we certainly made sure that was the consistent piece. But about 3 years ago, I started getting requests for like a match grade projectile. And for those guys out there that shoot, real steel, competitive shooting, a match grade round is like a hand loaded round that's specifically weighed. So from round to round, they're very similar. The very low tolerances in bullet weight, in grains of powder, and that's really what the request was from the sniper side of the world, where these guys maybe shoot 20 rounds a day, not the bulk of our players that are shooting 150, 300
Yeah,
rounds.
these are the guys who are measuring, weighing, sanding, scrape. Like some of them
Correct.
were like fixing the fins with razor blades. Like
Yeah, yep. And so to address that, and make it, a little bit cooler, we've done a special color for those. We've made the rounds a little bit heavier. We've made the shell a little bit more brittle than the standard shell. But to do that, that means our production slows down quite a bit. It means we hand sort every single projectile.
that sounds exhaustingly boring.
Yep. And we put them in, a tray where, basically I can throw this across the room and you're not going to see any damage, from a shipment standpoint. So,
Love it.
there was some confusion on the product when it first launched. I think I've dispelled most of the challenges. Everyone always says, well, just make a cheaper round. Well, that's not the easiest thing to do.
Just make a cheaper round. Just make a cheaper car.
I would love to make a cheaper round if it was feasible. It's not feasible right now. But we did address the group that was looking for this type of projectile. And here in the next couple weeks, we're going to be, if you want to try these projectiles, we're going to run a promotion that I think are going to be pretty interesting, very limited. So we'll announce that. I want to get through 0 hour, and then we'll come back to that and do a little promotion on those. So
there's a promotion on the FSR Plus, is what you're saying.
yeah,
Beautiful. I know, because I'm
people can get it in their hands and see for themselves, right? The testing that we've done is pretty exciting in terms of accuracy. Last year at Fulda Gap, the sniper competition, every one of those guys, shooting from every gun you could think of. There was T-15s, there was MG100s, there was Karmatech guns. Everyone markedly better, right? More accurate, And
Yeah.
what you're doing is, you're just taking away all the variations. You're making the weights more consistent, so your vertical spread is tighter, and then you're obviously with the smoother nipple, and better welding that takes longer to do, you're getting, you're squeezing in the left to right miss. So all around, and it's a little bit heavier. So you're getting a lot of advantages there. But it's a pretty cool product. I love it. Again, it's for certain people, right?
Yeah.
I use it when I go play with my kids because I'm not going to shoot very much, right? So I'll go out there with a pistol and 2 magazines and let them carry as many things as they want. But it makes perfect sense for me.
Sorry, just 1 second.
Yep. You're making a reminder not to forget the promotion?
No, I'm signing a piece of paper that says I'm allowed to be in here. Because there's a lot of expensive equipment, and they don't just let anybody in here. Well, apparently they do, because they gave me a studio. So they apparently do just let
guys in there, so maybe they don't know any better.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's what it was. Because they gave me a studio, and they were like, so is paintball big? I'm like, well, that's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
Here, kinda. In the U.S., very. Like,
The hard part in Canada right now is you're going through some field challenges. I think you really have the player base, but the places to play is really starting to kind of dry up a little bit.
It is, and a big issue we're running into right now is we're so spread out across the country that we don't have if you look at the land mass of U.S. to Canada, yes, Canada's technically bigger, but 90% of it is the Arctic, But we also have less than a third of the population, so we do have a decent player base, but our fields are so far apart, and then no, all right, and then and then just trying to get a field open and sustainable is really, really hard, and I don't know why, but it seems like the sustainable fields around me, anyways. There are key fields across Canada that are kind of like landmarks. You got Wasaga Beach Paintball, Commando Action Center, or Commando Paintball. They're kind of like, those 2 fields are huge. Everyone loves them, and everyone knows where they are. You got Bigfoot Paintball out in Quebec. But in the Maritimes, especially where I'm at, and across a lot of Canada, is that you get these little itty bitty fields where the passion is there. The people who own the field have that passion. They want to run a paintball field. They have zero idea how to run a business.
Yeah.
So they're a little too quick to cut deals with players, and they're too quick to don't worry about it, or I don't want to charge very much, or I'm just going to charge what it costs me to bring the paint in. I'm like, well, then you're not making any profit. You got to spend money. And then don't even get me started on the marketing side of that with paintball fields, that so many fields drop the ball on marketing so hard. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, all around it's hard.
It is. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
The biggest challenge is, just real estate prices. And that's
hurting
that's
bad.
You see even in the U.S., all the places that are close to metropolises, or, someone comes and says, I'm going to give you a few $1 million for your property. And, that's CPX. CPX is a perfect example of that. That was a legendary field. And the government said, we're going to basically make it so you guys can all retire. And
right.
They said,
done.
Okay,
let's go. Let's roll. But that's also the mind of
it.
a business owner too, right? Who just happens to be in the business of paintball, where they're just like, I could retire. Yeah. Let's roll.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out. Let's go.
It's a matter of, finding these guys and promoting them and helping them along. And, they have to be somewhat close to the metroplex of all these cities. And
that's the really hard part, is getting a field close enough to a population that it can be financially beneficial, but not so close to a population center that you're paying outrageous property tax, and you run into issues like Paintball Mirabel in Quebec is technically in Montreal city limits. So it's It's
Yeah.
rough. I could be wrong on that. I think they really are right, and just inside, sort of like how an industrial park is technically in the city
Right.
limits.
Yeah.
So it's just rough all around. And then
Yeah.
in your line of work, on top of that, you've got what I consider the cheapest player in the industry, the Magfed player, who they love to spend money on their gear, but
Yeah.
when it
Well, the mag I will disagree. The MagFed player is the most willing to spend the most money. The kicker is you have to provide them with a great experience,
okay,
right?
yeah,
If you know what, every player I know will pay a premium to go travel to a certain game and play it because they know the experience is great, right? And that will even sacrifice regular weekend play to go to those events, right?
that's
In Europe
true.
is kind of
Yeah,
ahead of us with that. With like Euro Super Game, they're paying a premium to be at that, but it's legendary, right? And so MagFed, you know, it's I tell all my colleagues that I talk to about it, I said MagFed it's 100% experience based versus regular paintball that's consumption based. Tournament paintball is all about is shooting as much paint as possible. MagFed is 100% the opposite, right? They
yeah,
will pay a premium for a dozen rounds if they know they can hit someone a dozen times, hit a dozen different players with those rounds.
yeah. You're
So,
right. Yeah,
and that is the learning curve from a field standpoint too, where some of these fields are migrating from that consumption model to an experience model where they can charge more for the right experience, right? And that again, that onus really comes from guys like me and even players and guys like Kusha back in the day for MagFed Pro Shop
oh
and
man, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
yeah, but all these guys have. There's a ton of education that had to go back into these fields and go, hey, I've got players, but this is the game that they want. It's very unique. It's very different, and they'll pay. They'll pay.
Yeah, it's true. I'm
But it's a scary leap of faith, right,
yeah.
from a field owner that goes, oh, these guys only shoot 100 rounds a day. That all
It
my analytics run on paintballs consumed.
it's funny. Me and Tom, we're talking. We're actually planning an episode on this because him and I are on very different sides of the spectrum on this one. In that we how do I word it? I'm trying not to be insulting, so please don't nobody take any of this as a dig. This is just the only terminology I really have. But
Yeah.
watching a lot of MagFed players, especially when I went to an airsoft game, and this is where I really saw this. And I see what you're saying about the experience, is that so when I play, for example, when I play speedball, I'm not really looking to shoot as much paint as possible, but I'm looking for fast, aggressive, competitive paintball. So, which does require shooting a lot of paint. There's a reason for shooting a lot of paint when you look at it from a competitive paintball side of things. But when you look at a lot of MagFed players, like you said, they're looking for an experience. They're looking for more of that LARPing side of things. They want
Well,
they want to
it's the
feel.
same experience you're getting from Call of Duty, right?
That's what I mean. Yeah,
You want
they want to feel how they look. A lot of these
yep.
MagFed players are decked out in tactical gear from head to toe, and they want to use it. They don't want they want to look cool. Let's be honest. Everybody wants to look cool. That's
Yep.
speedballers too. That's why we wear
Mhm.
bright jerseys and aggressive
Yep.
looking masks and shoot brightly colored guns. But yeah, they want that LARPing experience, and I know sometimes that's like a dirty word, but it's
It is what it is. You could say big games are kind of the same vibe, right?
yeah.
Open class games. I mean, there's plenty of guys dressed up in camo and they're just running a hopper gun or whatever the case may be. Um, and that for me, and not to segue out of that topic, but we've seen growth. Our growth has all come from big games welcoming MagFed players, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
we've seen, the MagFed only games have stagnated a little bit. We kind of plateaued there,
Uh-huh,
but
uh-huh.
super games and 0 hours and folded gaps and all those types of events all shoot first strike rounds now, right? And for the MagFed guys, they love it because they can shoot guys that can't shoot them back.
Well, when it comes to a big game, especially we're talking like Fold a Gap, Super, all that jazz, Super game, and you're talking 1,000 players on the field. If you go out there running MagFed with round ball, with just regular paintballs, unless you are very, very sneaky and very willing to get up close and personal, you're going to get outgunned. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter what, you know what I mean? Your skill can only carry you so far before you have an entire 15, 20 dudes with speedball markers just dumping paint on you. You're just out of luck. But it's you're right. Letting them shoot first strike rounds kind of levels the playing field a little bit. They can
for sure.
You know,
and they want to be tactical. They want to put a little bit more thought, and I want to say more thought because there's plenty of strategy. And I come from the tournament side, right?
I've met a lot of MagFed players. There's not a lot of thought happening before a lot of that stuff.
I played tournament style way back in the day. I was the guy that carried 17 tubes. That'll show you how dangerous.
Oh, just like all up the arms, just tubes and CO2s.
Carrying them in your hands as you're out on the field. And there's plenty of strategy
100%
there as well. But it's a different, it's a different mindset.
No, it is. It's a different mindset, different strategy, different angles, right? Because
and I would even venture to say, tournament paintball, speedball is, we'll call it a sport. Where MagFed and big games is a hobby, right? There's a big distinction between.
I was like NXL, competitive sport, that kind of thing, and then Super Game 0 Hour is a game, fun game, which I do want to eventually go to. Absolutely, and
the player mindset after the game is different. The preparation is different. These, for the most of the time, these big games in MagFed, they're vacations, right? Where
it's a party with some paintball in the middle.
Yeah, where if you're playing tournament paintball, you're going to compete, right? And there's some party. Don't get me wrong, amongst those guys, but it's a different. They're not around campfires. They're not, camping. They're not, where a lot of the MagFed and a big game. There's a lot of the camping aspect and the festival side of stuff.
And then I found
too. And there's no better place to look at. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I found too with some of the big games that I've played at. So, for example, the one I'm going to this weekend, Commando Action Center's D-Day. They've introduced, and I mean, this isn't just for the MagFed players, but this is very attractive to the MagFed players, is the objectives. The smaller, not just the go get flag or hold this point for 4 hours. It's the go get this thing, take it to point A, point B, or whatever, or bring it back to a person. And it's kind of like, it's the tiny little mission within the big game that I see MagFed players love, because it gives them something to hyper focus on. And I love it.
Justin Schaefer and all the 0 Hour guys and the MagFed Society, all those guys. I mean, their games are loaded with mini missions, right? And all point valued and almost more important than the gameplay, right? But the great part about those games is that I'm going to shoot people, right? I have no desire to go and find anything and do anything. I just want to do that. But a guy who just wants to do those, he can focus on those all day long.
Right? I'm the same way.
It's very unique, right? And I see, as much as the MagFed guys would hate to hear that, I see a lot more crossover between them and the airsoft guys in terms of mission based and strategy and all the small games. And I look at those promoters on the airsoft side and some of the incredible stuff that they pull off with, just simulations and all the goofy. What they have over us is they get to go to really cool locations.
Yes,
because it doesn't. It's not as dirty, right? So they can go to real bases and real prisons. The guys here in Chicago, they go to an old prison and have a game, and then they go to old base and have a game, and they've rented out old malls that were like basically not condemned but empty, and ran huge games inside of an empty mall. And I'm like,
that's cool.
Insane.
That's cool.
Every paintball guy's dream to do that, but
I never got a chance to do it. But here in the Maritimes, about 4 hours west of me. No, 4 hours east of me. They got to hold I think they did it twice. They held a game, paintball game, so very messy, inside a Cold War bunker. So like proper, they're called Diefen bunkers because the guy who designed them, his last name was Diefen. And he engineered them all. I've been inside one, which there's one as a museum in Ottawa. It's fantastic. If you want to go, it's super cool. But they got to play in it. And I was so jealous I didn't get to go. I was working and we were doing inventory. And if you ever worked retail, you understand how important inventory is. And I looked at my boss and I was like, what if I called in sick on inventory? He was just like, you can just find a new job.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up too was when we've been talking about the difference between like speedball, like competitive speedball and MagFed, is Cameron Brow brought it up. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but like the last year I hosted the CMC. I host it every year. I don't know if it's happening this year or not. It's kind of up in the air. We called it the Canadian MagFed competition. The plan was to take it nationwide. COVID got in the way.
Yeah.
We're getting things going again. Anyways, long story short, it's a 3v3 competitive MagFed competition. So there is an objective, but it is basically it's speedball mixed with MagFed, and it's with smaller objectives inside, but all points based. People have a ton of fun with it. It's fun watching. You see some MagFed people, like they play and they've got too much of the tactical mindset, and they're kind of like they're trying to keep it like low to the ground to be super smooth, and like they're cutting the pie. But then you get the guy who just like power slides halfway across the field on his knees, and he's just like blasting everything away. And so there's definitely room for everything. It's an absolute blast.
And it's still merging, right? And that's the cool part. It's still so new in the grand scheme of paintball. Paintball's been around for, what is it, 40 years now?
82. Yeah, 44.
And somewhere, quite a while. And MagFed
42.
is 10 years old, right?
It's just a wee babe. It's like,
Yeah. And there's going to be, just like in AC and Airsoft, they're starting to do Speed Soft, right? Which is,
I think, is awesome.
The opposite of what Airsoft was ever meant to be.
It's funny. I played my first Airsoft game 4 weeks ago. I forget. Anyways, went and played. Not my thing. Just I found, because I'm so used to paintball, I found that there wasn't as much of an adrenaline rush. I don't know if it's because I'm not scared of the BBs or if it's just the way they play.
Guys, that's the big challenge is that it's the impact. The impact is what kind of keeps you going. And when you lose that, it gets a little odd.
Yeah, and but Speedsoft looks fun as hell. I think Speedsoft would be an absolute blast to play. I'd love to get something like that going here in Fredericton. I'd need a warehouse because it'd be so easy to do indoors. Because you just vacuum up the BBs.
With your radio studio and put it out on the.
Just get a random email from somebody somewhere who's just like.
And you're like, I got you one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, somehow that'll fall into my lap. I mean, you know what? I probably should anyways, just to see what happens. Yeah. But and like you said, MagFed is growing. We've seen the MG100 or the EMF 100, same gun depending on who you talk to. It's a different name. I think it was fantastic. It was a speedball company. It was Planet Eclipse basically looking at that and going, we could do that with our own flair. So let's do it. And it was a huge success. It kind of bridged the gap. It was awesome.
And that it's really, I mean, they're a competitor for sure, but they have our brand on their boxes, letting people know it shoots first strike rounds.
Yeah.
It was the next step in MagFed. And I wasn't able to do it, which was disappointing because I had plans to do it, but I couldn't get the funding.
And I mean,
so they stepped up and
they also had the pre-existing platform too, right? Like they already had the EMAC and everything, so it was.
But it was still, right up their wheelhouse. And again,
that's
from
what I mean.
A growth standpoint, was perfect timing, right? It's what we needed as an industry and what we needed as a niche. So I'm more than happy, and everyone doesn't believe it, but my gun sales, the tide went up and all boats lifted at the same time. So my sales went up, and because it certainly brought some more credibility to the niche
for sure.
Prior to that, us selling to stores, and they go, "Oh, this MagFed thing, it's very weird. We don't know." I mean, I see players coming in and asking for it, but I don't know. It's a little risky. And then as soon as the Tipman jumped in with the TMC, my sales up. And then as soon as Planet came in with the MG100, boom, up again. So again, great. More power to us
Yeah.
to make the pie bigger.
Yeah, I was going to say, competition's good for the market. It always is. It's always good. And I like how you put that. It brought credibility to it because it's, you're like.
That was always, for the first handful of years, that was my biggest challenge. Was I had all the relationships in the industry. It was convincing them that it was a viable line to bring in, right? Because it was just so much different than anything that had been out there. The Tiberius had been around for a while, but they really struggled to supply the market for a lot of years. So when we jumped in and kind of said, "Hey, I got it, let's do it," there was some trepidation. And again, we're paintball as a whole is an industry that runs on available funds, right?
Yes.
So we're kind of to get cut out, over food or fuel or whatever the case may be. So
Yeah.
Long story short, it helped. It helped everything, right? In
Which
terms
is awesome.
of us being validated, right?
That's just great. For those of anyone tuning in, we're talking we were talking First Strike Plus rounds, and now we talked about the philosophy behind MagFed. Love when these conversations go that way. I love it. That's like I've got a 12-hour drive ahead of me, and I'm just like, man, I'll catch some Z's while Tom drives, and I'm like, I'm not gonna sleep. I'm just gonna talk. It's gonna happen. Nightmare PB out there has got the best comment I've seen. The EMF was made for lazy mofos like me, just want to play and not tinker. True. The T15 is a tinkerer, and I love the T15. I was so angry when mine got stolen. So angry.
Yeah. Well, I know a guy who can get you another one.
I've got one.
Oh, okay, good.
It's got a bit of a funny story I'll tell you off the air about how it came into my possession. But I might have to, depending on how it works this season, it may get mothballed for because I think it's a Gen 1 or a Gen 2.
Oh,
so it may end up getting mothballed for a Gen 5. So we'll see. If I spend any more money on paintball before my wedding next year, she might kill me. So
see, this is where you just start lying to your wife. That's what I do. Just don't tell them. I'm just
gonna use the podcast and just lie. I'm just gonna buy gear and be like, sponsorship.
Totally. I don't know. Someone sent that to me. I don't know.
That's how the alien.
She's given up all hope. So.
Paul says I can walk you through if you need the help. And behold MFT. Yeah, we have 2 T15s in our arsenal. Start a YouTube channel. Just write everyone off. Absolutely. I'm getting I love how the comments, like the whole chat is just like, bro, we're going to help you lie to your wife. Like, great.
Paintball.
Love the community. That's awesome. Yeah. So everyone's invited to the wedding. Let's go. You can all vouch for me at the wedding. Be like, he absolutely paid for or didn't pay for anything.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
I love that.
Said to lie to my wife, so we're great friends.
Yep. So speaking of markers, the XP.
So we are just about to the finish line. We're still messing around with the milling on the body. We like the way it looks, but it's becoming a little of a challenge. So we have one here that's almost to the finish line. So big changes in terms of functionality. The old FSC, which was the smallest paintball 68 caliber paintball pistol in the industry, ran off an 8-gram CO2. Those worked. It's what kept the gun as small as possible. But finding 8 grams was proved to be a little bit more of a challenge.
I found it difficult to find good 8 grams.
Yeah.
Like I'd find them, and then it was like you needed a damn screwdriver to puncture them. Yeah.
So what we opted to do was in the redesign, was go back to a 12 gram. That was the first major change. So once we knew that we needed a new magazine anyways, we started thinking about some of the other challenges, mainly efficiency. And the efficiency, the FSC is an efficient gun, but the challenge was when you changed magazines, the magazine would vent off just a little bit of gas, which was actually a substantial amount of gas, and you lost about a third of the pressure to shoot projectiles. So what we did with this one is we separated the pressure vessel where the 12 gram goes into in the magazine. That does two things. One, A, you get a lot more shots per 12 gram, and B, it makes the magazine a heck of a lot cheaper. And that was one of the other biggest issues with the old 8.1s, 9.1s, and FSC is that magazine was, $39, $49. This guy is going to be, $24. So a little bit easier pill to swallow. It's going to be easier to make extended magazines. So right now we have a 6 in the pipeline and a 10-round magazine in the pipeline.
Cool.
The other big thing that we've added, and this comes from the home defense market a little bit, is they wanted an integrated RMR mount. So for your red dot that will screw directly to the body, so you don't have to run like a Picatinny rail on the top of the gun.
Okay.
We've added that. And then we're making the body a little bit more exciting than the body had been in the past. The body was very
straight lined.
Straight line, fundamental. So we're trying to put a little bit more look into it, so that you can kind of see the barrel through some cuts and all sorts of good stuff. But we've run into a couple challenges there unexpectedly. So the gun's done. Right, that's the good part is there's not any evolution in the regulator. There's nothing groundbreaking in terms of the fundamental components. It's just making it a little bit more user friendly and having some more features and benefits that people have been asking for. So that we should see that by the end of summer is what we're targeting right now.
Very cool.
And this will still have all the same modularity that the FSC and the 8.1, 9.1 had. So handguard adapters, ASA adapters, different size magazines, all that good stuff, right? So if you want to run it as a pistol, or you want to run it more of like a carbine style, we've got drop-down ASAs already in the pipeline for it. So it's going to be another one of those, kind of does a little bit of everything depending on what you want it to do.
That thing looked dope.
Yeah. This at the Summit, which was the industry show. So we have the new drop down that's built into the ASA. So the body again is a little bit longer than it used to be in the past. This is the new 13-inch rifle barrel. So right as soon as the gun launches, it has aftermarket support from a 6-inch and a 13-inch rifled barrel. Both magazines will be ready. So it's a matter of getting everything to deliver right around the same time and having only me to kind of get that
single-handedly handling it all.
I desperately miss my buddy Scott, who helped me with all product development stuff back in the day.
Yeah. Does is the barrel still the standard, like the push and turn?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Those are always great for, especially like when ball busts in the barrel, you can just quickly just like pop, pop, and then slam a squeegee down it, pop it back on. You're laughing. Is it first strike capable?
Yes, of course.
I love that I'd be able to say that with a straight face. That was a terrible joke. I'm sorry. I'm pumped for it, man. It looks awesome. I love the idea that you're putting the little cuts into it, kind of expose the barrel a little bit, make it a little more sexy.
And our goal with that is that we'll maybe only run 1 or 2 production cycles with that body style, and then we're going to continually change the look, right? Hey. So that'll give it a little bit more limited edition run.
Yeah.
So if you like it, you got to jump on it, and then we'll change. So that was the big thing, is we had to make a new extrusion to make a little bit fatter, so we could take material away easier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. Yeah. What about what's this? Paul, consider different size CO2 tubes for different size CO2 cartridge options. I don't know what he
What are you
means.
talking about, Paul?
Is he thinking about like some CO2 cartridges are literally thicker than others?
There's like a 16 gram, but I can't imagine he's talking about that.
Just do HPA at that point.
Yeah.
Like if you're running a 16 gram CO2 cartridge, just yeah. Speaking of which, is there anything, any future on the tanks at all? Is there anything down the line, like
Yeah.
even in the distant future?
Yeah, we're working on. Oh, I don't know if I should show you this or not.
You should. If you're gonna ask, the answer is yes.
Yeah. So we snuck this out a little bit. Let's see if I can get this SLA to not break in the process. So we have a 25 cubic inch bottle coming.
That is adorable.
Yep.
I don't know I don't know why. It looks smaller than the 13, but even though it's bigger, you know what I mean?
Yep. It is. Let me find a 50 cubic inch bottle. That was the one thing I didn't grab. Sorry. Step away. Sing a song or something.
I can't sing any songs because then I got to record it on paperwork that I sang a song. But yeah, I don't know what to do now. He's gone. He's out of frame. What do we do? We got to wait for him. He's back.
All right. So this is a 15, and this is a 25.
It's girthy.
Yeah. So it's a little bit chubbier, but shorter. And in the process, we're working on a new buttstock for it as well. That is completely toolless. That locks on. You'll be able to hang this thing off your rig. Completely support it. Locks right in. So good looking little buttstock there.
That is super cool.
We're going to downsize that buttstock to 15 cubic inches as well.
That is really, really cool.
Yeah. So those are on order right now. Again, technology standpoint, it's not anything new. It's a 4,500 psi bottle.
It's a new shape.
It's a new shape, which is, we redesigned the T15 drop down to sit a little bit lower. It's a full inch drop down now because we know people are going to go to this size bottle.
Oh yeah.
That will get you, almost double the shots off of any gun. So for MagFed guys, that's more magazines that they'll know what to do with.
They're going to run out of paint before they run out of air, which is usually the opposite for MagFed guys.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And the 4,500 because it's all carbon fiber, right? So 4,500 fill, beautiful. I love that. That's amazing. I can't wait. I kind of want one now.
We have these are in stock now. Are the anti-heroes, which it's a slightly longer version of the hero. It has a rubber collar on it. Still has a rotational collar, so it's easy to adjust where the gauge fits on your gun. Same internals. People are just asking for something a little bit easier to rotate and a little bit longer than the short hero. Most of the MagFed guys love the hero reg, so this might be more for the tournament guys who want a longer reg.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could see the longer reg being better in the tournament. I love that adjustable piece because I love being able to screw the tank on, and then be like, oh, the nipple's in the way, click, and then just turn the tank and problem solved.
Yep.
Like I love that. It's such a great feature. I love it so much.
These just came in. I don't even think they're on the website yet. Little caveat, I've been working on the website a lot. So you'll see here in the next couple weeks that will be completely refreshed with all the products being live, as we add everything back in there. Merch went live this week, so we got all that updated finally. We got the new Willie shirt and the Night Vision FSR round shirt and some patches and all sorts of good stuff up there.
Yeah, I seen the post. You were just like, we're not as fast as we once were.
We don't go as deep as staff we used to have, but we're getting there.
You're making it work. You're making it happen.
Yep. The big thing we did this year was we did the Golden Round sweepstakes, which we've done that in the past, where we picked multiple winners who won a year's supply of first strike rounds. But what we did this year that was different, that we thought was pretty cool for the size of company that we are, is out of those winners, we picked one grand prize winner who left this week to go play in Poland.
Yes.
At Euro.
Yes, I've seen
He
that.
is over there
I'm
now,
totally not
completely
jealous.
with that situation.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So, So, and the goal is to work with those European partners to do the inverse and find a game over here that we can bring a player over here and kind of do that. Do 2 winners every year, so that we can start to get people who don't necessarily get to travel across the pond to play paintball, get them exposed to stuff in the States and stuff in Europe, and kind of bridge the gap there, because the players are exactly the same. I can tell you firsthand, a guy in Germany is the same player in New York. They have the same passion. They love everything. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen in terms of being the same person.
Just no matter what, you're just a paintballer.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the day, throw the mask on, don't talk, and you don't know where they're from.
Yep.
So I love that. That's so cool, man. Is there anything in the works long term? I'm assuming it's not.
Oh, there's certainly stuff in the works long term.
Yeah. So what are they? Can you tell?
We've got three big projects we're working on that are going to take a little time and money to get to the finish line, but that's the normal cycle of a new product. That's a major product. It takes a couple of years.
Oh, for sure.
To get it done. We had to literally start from scratch once the acquisition happened.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you kind of just everything's new. Everything's old. Everything's old but new.
In process when we took over, so we had to start from the ground up.
Okay. Can you give us any hints? What is it? How big is it?
What's that?
How big is it?
Bigger than a bread box. Smaller than a Toyota.
What about a mask? Would First Strike ever do a mask?
We've done a co-branded one in the past.
Yeah, but like a good one.
It's from a tooling standpoint, it's very challenging.
Yeah.
Those things are very expensive, and you got to make a lot of them.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple major manufacturers about getting components that we could then share lenses, because I don't want to make a lens tool. It's not something I'm interested in.
No, just use pre-existing lenses. You mean like?
Yeah, and then do our own skirt that was made specifically for MagFed. I think we could do something like that.
That'd be cool.
But that's still that's not the top priority, right? Our wheelhouse is launchers and projectiles, so we're going to focus on that for now.
Launcher, A launcher?
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there one day.
Nightmare wants a launcher.
We make patches too.
We make patches too.
Get your donut patches. We just made some.
Donuts. Awesome. So yeah, we've got about 9.5 minutes left. I thought we only had about 7, but it looks like we're actually running okay. So right. Fantastic. Cool, man. So let's run it all through. Let's run down back through for what we talked about. So you got the FSR Plus is an amazing piece of kit that is basically made for SAR 12 shooters and
accuracy shooters, right?
Yeah.
They have guys who are low volume, shooting 20, 30 rounds a day.
They're putting that round through the slot of a pallet to hit you.
Correct. Correct. We're doing competitions. Like, for example, we're doing a whole sniper competition at Euro Super Game this week with these rounds again, so people can try them out and see the significant difference between those. And then in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a promotion, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Ooh. And you really get a chance to maybe try these out at a very good deal.
Ooh, that sounds cool. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Yep. So you got they got that, and then you got the new tanks on the way. You got the new and improved FSC. So what does XP stand for? What is it? The FSC-XP, or is it just the XP?
It's just the XP.
Okay.
Yep.
What's XP stand for?
It's just an acronym. It just
sounds cool.
Most times X means experimental, but it's just XP.
Just extreme. The extreme pistol.
And when we do the carbine version, that will be an XC, right?
Cool.
So
It's like
trying
an iPhone.
Yeah. I really hate coming up with names. It's very hard and difficult, and so it's
Should have just, man. You could have kept it going, man. You got the FSR plus. Could have done the FSC plus. Do a T15 plus.
We could do the Mark II. We could do a lot of things.
Right.
A lot of people didn't like the FSC name though because it was the first strike compact.
I never had that issue. I just always called the FSC because it was the first strike compact.
That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah, but these are the same people who call it a SIN number or an ATM machine. Yeah. So,
or they still call them Tiberius guns. That's the other thing that drives me. Like,
actually, the T15 I got my hands on came in a Tiberius case.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, with the cut foam and everything. Like, I cracked it open. I was like, okay, this is cool. Aired it up. It didn't leak. I was like, okay, that's a good first step.
Better. Yeah, but getting that old, you just worry about all the O-rings drying out. So.
Apparently, the O-rings were replaced by Paul himself last year. So,
geez, well, it was tediously reviewed.
Every O-ring was licked before it was put onto the bolt.
Subtly kissed every component. Seductively kissed. And named every item in that gun. This one's
100%. 100%. Oh my God, I could picture Paul doing it too. Just softly kissing each O-ring as he puts it on.
He puts it in.
Apologizing to the ones that he has to stretch like over the bolt. I think I'm seeing him this weekend, so I'll ask him.
Good.
Yeah. I'd be like,
I'm seeing him next weekend, so.
Oh, wicked. All right. Yeah, hopefully I'll see him. I'll ask him which one is his favorite. Nightmare, again, he's in there. He wants flavored first strike round plus. For FSR plus rounds.
Sure he does.
Yeah. Banana.
I'll make a special batch.
Yeah. Just no. The idea of flavored paint in general just throws me right off.
Did you ever play with the old school banana balls?
I did, and it's still...
It tastes like banana, but it smelled like banana.
Exactly. And like, I don't know, you get shot with a paintball, you expect it to taste bad, but when you get hit with a paintball and then suddenly everything smells like banana.
Yeah.
Especially if you got shot in the mask and it just like broke and got onto your lips and you're just like, all it reminded me of was that the ear medicine as a child. Like the ear infection medicine I always had to take because apparently I had to do that a lot. I don't know why that's such a core memory.
The pink stuff, right?
No, it was yellow.
Oh, it must be Canadian.
Yeah, my daughter takes the pink stuff now, which does not smell like bananas. It smells horrible, actually.
Awkward segue. Ear medicine.
It is what it is.
It is.
Look, man, this show once took a segue into Pornhub, so.
Oh well, that's pretty. It's kind of an adjacent market, though.
Well, that's what happens when you get Wolf and Bricktop on the show at the same time.
Oh, good lord! No, thank you.
It was an awkward 15 minutes. So, yeah. Anyways, that's it, man. I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
Perfect.
So thanks for coming on. It was an absolute blast for everyone who stuck around hanging out with us. Yeah, man.
Yet, so that's good.
Yeah. No, I haven't muted you or kicked you off yet. So it's everything's going great. So sorry, one of the timers just stopped and then started back up again, and I don't know if that means it broke or.
Nice.
And I'm alone in the studio. But that's it, folks. We're out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you're listening out there on the radio on 97.9 CHSR FM, truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And find us on social media over on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. I don't know. I'll put us on some other social media networks somewhere else too. Why not? Just look it up at Maritime Paintball Podcast. Look it up on any of them. You'll find us. And catch us at Commando Action Center tomorrow, actually, and the rest of the weekend for the D-Day game. It's going to be an absolute blast. So that's it, folks. We're out here, and thank you so much. Until next week, cheers.
Bye-bye.